into shadows, uncovering the light. Guess with solid minds, no tales of the strange. In Sasquatch Secrets, they'll begin to rearrange. Truth's the vibe, we're on a quest. Look beyond the trees, what do you see? Factual stories redefining history. No myths, no magic, let's break the mold. With every word spoken, the wonders unfold. Footprints in the snow, not just a myth. Data and research was sift through the pit. Tales of a creature, but science leads the way. Nikki's quest for knowledge, come join and stay.
Hey, and welcome everybody to another episode of Sasquatch Secrets. I'm your host, Nikki Colon. So glad you could be here. And we've got a great show for you tonight. And can't wait to get to it. Hello, everybody. See you in there. Everybody is filtering in. We've got Sandra and Angel and Jen. Cowboy One, Relic Hominin said he'd be checking in. Tessa's out there somewhere. John Ayers, Sandra Piper, of course. It is good to see everybody. I'm glad you made it through another whole week and through cold weather. We actually got yesterday and today. It was in the mid 70s, 80s. And I was thinking about, oh my gosh, it's almost time to get the flowers started outside. Start cleaning up the back porch, getting ready for spring. I don't know. We'll probably have another cold spell come in. So anyway, well, without further ado, let me bring on my guest.
Greetings.
Back. Yay!
Hey,
Bigfoot
hey.
in the house in his new digs. Look at that. He's got his studio all set up and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I got the turntables set up, the DJ system set up here. We're at our shop, so I'm on duty, but hey, bro's covering for me. So yeah. I'm had everything set up, ready to go. I got a text from Nikki earlier, was like, hey, it's kind of short notice. Could you jump on? I'm like, yeah, let me check with bro right quick. And it was a go. So here we are. Super excited, and thank you for the invite again. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend and Sunday. Yeah.
It's always great to have you on and chat about this stuff. But good to see everybody jump in on. Robert, thank you for mentioning that. Yep. Last night I did a live stream with Daniel Benoit and the ECBRO on his Bigfoot Zone podcast. And it was good. It was a good discussion. I hadn't talked with Daniel in a while. We used to do a show a long time ago called the Bigfoot Hour. The Bigfoot Hour. We did many shows, so that was one of them. We did real and not real, and we did a bunch of other Facebook finding Bigfoot after show thing we did, and a bunch of other little things along the way. But that was like almost 9 years ago, at least. Wow. So, so it was good to jump on and say hi to him and talk about a few things.
That's cool. Yeah, I need to catch up with some of his stuff. I do get his notifications.
Yeah, his many notifications. I'm like, what are you doing now? Yeah, he's got all kinds of events, and he puts on his conference now, and his annual conference. And I made it out to one. I think it was his second one I made it out to. And then his third one, I think, got canceled because of COVID. And then he's had several, a couple after that. So, but good on him. Good show. And if you guys want to check that out, please feel free to check out Bigfoot Zone, the ECBRO, and that conversation.
Yeah, and I heard you. Cool. I heard you mentioning the weather. We hit 80 today. And
did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I jacked off now, but it's because I think the air conditioner kicked on.
Yeah, you might.
And
yeah, you might hear our air conditioner running right now. We actually got it on high, and yeah, I hear most people I chat with and been hearing from. Here we got some sirens.
Nope, your mic is muffling. I can't hear it. Yeah, you have a really good
mic. It was the sirens. I was letting the sirens go by. We're getting sirens back and forth. It's been quite active out here in East Los Angeles.
You have a good mic and taking that. It's we're not hearing it. So
okay, cool. Well, anyway, yeah, so it's been pretty warm out here, warming up, and still a little chilly at night. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I would have thought we would have had a little more rain. Maybe we did have a little bit after those situations, which was it was nice, but that also caused quite a bit of flooding out here in certain areas. So that became quite a mess. Yes, I've been paying attention, to the weather and the skies out here as usual, and yeah, just been noticing that a whole lot of spraying has been going on, and it's been going on a long time, but I can't ignore it. It's just like in your face, and so I'm just keeping an eye with that, the weather, and just other things going on out here, and yeah, quite a bit happening out here.
Yeah, for sure. And which brings me to that Glenn is really into the paranormal and UFOs and, stuff that's happening with, the government and the seeding and stuff like that. And he keeps a track of all that. And his interest in the cryptids, his Bigfoot, search. And he's always going out there to Northern Cal and joining expeditions up there. I've lost count. How many have you been a part of?
Well, if we're talking Bluff Creek, Bluff Creek, it's been maybe like over 8 times, maybe. It's been several times there, and I lived in the area, so that's why it was easy for me to actually do those trips. But now that I'm down here, it's a little more of a challenge, and we've still been we've been going. But yeah, just that whole area, when I lived there, it was just I would walk out my door and you're in the elements there. It was super cool, and hopefully here soon we'll be back up in the elements. But since I've been down here in Southern California, we've been trying to get out into some of these areas here, and we have briefly. And yeah, maybe we'll get into it later. I did send you, we spoke about it last time, one of our last trips up into the mountains here, and we had some interesting things happen. We captured something on thermal. We're not sure exactly what it is, but yeah, I think we might be able to share that later on. But yeah, just trying to stay in those elements where these beings might be. It's such a change of life, being in the middle of the city now, and as to where I used to be out in the woods, and so I'm just processing all that, and yeah, trying to make the most of it, and it's been pretty good. We're getting weird stuff out in the skies out here. There's strange objects floating around Los Angeles, some weird stuff going on, and so we've been trying to document.
Looking at that thermal, I went, wow. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And I was like, what the heck? I go, wow, it was really interesting. And we're going to show you guys that, a little bit later. So you got to stay tuned. But we're going to go ahead and we are going to get into our topic for the night. And as you could see, the title was Woo Equals Views. And I took this from somebody in my chat last week, last Sunday, said woo equals views. Who was that? Are you? I can't remember who was it. Mountain Man? Was it Danny Weeks? I can't remember. One of you all said woo equals views, and it stuck with me, and it stuck with me all week. And I was contemplating this about that's, something that I've always wanted to talk about. And hold on, that jumped. Okay. So that's where we're going to take this. And it's not meant as a dog on people who consider themselves woo. Okay. Meaning they believe in the spiritual side, the paranormal part of Bigfoot, that this is not that type of take. Okay. It's more of a conversation I want to have of why is that so popular and is extremely popular compared to the science part, the flesh and blood. It's really got a big hold of the community. And that's where where my questions started to come from. And of course, there were major things that, we think of when we talk about the woo, and it's like the cloaking, that predator Bigfoot. Do you believe that cloaking exists, or what do you think that is?
Yeah, it's pretty far out off the bat, right? It's like, how do we get to there? We're still, if a lot of us are still in the science part of it, it's a big leap, I think. And but it seems like more information that comes out about certain things, especially pertaining to these beings, and then being able to do stuff like this, you have to question it. And for me, a lot of information that I like to gravitate towards is the Native American stuff that's out there. And I know a lot of different, there's a lot of different tribes, and they all have their different beliefs and experiences with these beings. But yeah, you'll hear that within some tribes that they're able to appear and disappear or cloak and stuff like that. And there's a few videos out there that are very interesting also that show this possibly, and so yeah, some people have broken some of these videos down, and it seems to be something there, but it shows the cloaking, but it doesn't show that it's an actual Bigfoot. It's something. It seems like something's there, some sort of entity. Yeah. It's see-through, you can't see it. And yeah, so it makes me wonder. I wouldn't doubt that there's things like that out there. And yeah, I've even gotten a weird piece of footage that's not cloaking like that exactly, but it is something like it seems to be hiding, and you can't really tell what it is. And I was out there with the intention of trying to find something Bigfoot related. And so yeah, it makes you wonder. And yeah, how would we be able to tell if these videos are real? I don't know. But I feel like there is something. At this point, like I'm open to a lot of things, and a lot of things they're hard to process, to accept. But yeah, I just feel like at this point, my world is like, yeah, everything and anything goes. Like if you could think it, dream it, or whatever, it could become, or it probably has become a reality here, and or is possible. And so yeah, it's like almost like anything goes these days, because it's a whole lot that I'm experiencing and that I see happening out there. And then also you have the normal, what we call the matrix or whatever, the normal day-to-day 9 to 5, we work and try to provide some food, shelter, the basic needs for us to survive and stuff like that, which I think really keeps a lot of us caught up in that rat race, and doesn't give us time to explore these other avenues or even question things that we get into. So I think in that sense, there's some sort of almost like a block for humanity to get in touch or to explore these things. And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel a lot of us are lucky that we're into this and that we're passionate about it and that we pursue it. And in that pursuit, yeah, I've gone down these rabbit holes that lead me to what we call paranormal or woo. At this point, I think we should definitely come up with another term for the woo. A lot of people are agreeing with me on that
Yeah,
too.
it's kind of gotten that derogatory feel. And yeah, you know, it has. But the woo term's been around for a really long time. It's
Oh yeah,
not something. It was around even in the 70s. It was around.
wow.
It's just gotten that negative mark on it from the science side, you know, always wanting to label things, and that's what has happened. Now, with all the UFO disclosures that have been happening, that's really, you know, it kind of opens your mind up a little bit more, you know, because you can, if you want to say now that there's not UFOs out there, you know, it seems like there is evidence coming out and more videos that have come from credible sources. And yeah, there's always going to be people who are going to say, well, the military isn't a credible source, or the government's definitely not a credible source. That would be your preference on you know.
Yeah,
But
and that whole subject is a can of worms too. I mean,
right,
yeah, I don't even get into it that deep. There's like the whole mainstream UFO ET stuff, and I know a little
right.
bit about it, but I'm not like submerged in that whole scene. But yeah, and yeah, we're hearing more information about these objects and stuff, and a lot of it could be, you know, ours, or you know,
Mm,
maybe some other country. And so it doesn't have to be some sort of ET, you know, it doesn't have to be little green men inside some mechanical ship and stuff like that. I think
right.
it's maybe far beyond that. A lot of that maybe is programming, because yeah, a lot of the movies and shows that we've been brought up with, I think, you know, a lot of it is programming on many levels. So so we have this idea of what this ET or whatever these crafts may be and stuff, but I think it's far more maybe different and strange, and yeah, and it's all part of this stuff. And you're hearing more of some of these beings, these Bigfoot beings, having possibly have something to do with some of these weird lights and crafts and stuff like that. So yeah, what's up with all that? And yeah, it gets really strange once you get into this
It does. And
paranormal
many
part.
people take that, you know, as their sign. This is where they want to go. That, you know, can Bigfoot turn invisible? Can it, or does it just blend into its surrounding? Is it a natural camouflage? Which the science end really wants to focus on, that they can just blend in, you know, they can be stealthy, they can remain motionless for long periods of time, and that helps them, you know, blend into their surroundings. But many people, and there has been videos of those blurry images, you know, that just kind of are glimmering off in the distance, and you can't really tell what it is or where it's coming from. I mean, one of the big ones that comes to mind was the Barb Shoop incident, where
Oh, yeah.
she was walking with a group of people, and often you see this thing kind of bounce off into the distance, and they said it's a baby Bigfoot bouncing off, you know, a limb over there. What you see it, you do see this blurry thing happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on the video? Like, and not saying that it's a baby Bigfoot or something, but you do see something there, like something is going on. Right.
My first initial thought was that, you know, it was something to do with the camera, something, lens flare, a drop of water on the lens, something like that. But the more
Artifact.
you look at it, it really does appear to be in the distance. And when her camera goes off, there's not that, because that would remain on the lens. If it was something on the lens, you would have seen it even as, it passed, but it doesn't. It stays there. I don't know what it was. My thought, my conclusion to me was that it was the back end of a squirrel, and all you see is the white floof of the tail bouncing down. So it gave this very flowy kind of look when she was passing by. That's what I've always wanted to take my take on that. But I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. All those people who were there who saw it will claim that it was, something cloaked jumping off.
And yeah, in interesting. I'm gonna get into someone that was there, and but yeah, briefly. So they were in one of Barb's Bigfoot spots, I believe, and so yeah, to have that happen in one of her areas where I would imagine, because I do follow her, she's had activity and stuff before, and she seems like a really sweet lady. I don't know her, I never met her personally, but I dig her and dig what she does, and seems like a cool person. Now there was someone there that was with her, and she's in the video, and I don't know if you know about this, but it was Claudia Ackley.
Oh, was Claudia there?
Yeah. And so Claudia was there, and I believe you could go through the video, and she's in the video. And it was a trip because Claudia passed a few years back, right? A couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And her and I were in touch through TikTok and some other means, because a few years back she used to, I guess, she would follow me when I was living up north, and we had arranged for her and her husband to come up. They were heading up north, and then they wanted to stop by and check out some of my areas, and I was like, okay, I had never met them before, I just knew about them online. And so they were on their way, and something happened. I don't know what exactly, but they didn't make it to my place, and then they ended up going to Mount Shasta, and that was that. So but we years later, we had kept in touch here and there online. And then recently on TikTok, we were sharing a bunch of stuff, and she shared a bunch of strange pictures, paranormal type pictures,
Mhm.
with me, that I thought were pretty far out. And some of them were like supposed Bigfoots. And there's one that's really good. It's actually like a subject. It looks like it's sticking its head through a house window, and you can see this black silhouette.
Mhm.
That I was allowed to share, so I could share that with you at some point. But the other pictures I didn't get permission to share. But it was like, yeah, some really strange stuff. And so I do believe she had some weird stuff going on. And she had explained to me that, yeah, a lot of strange paranormal and cryptid stuff was going on at her house here in California at the time, before she had moved out east. And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty bizarre what I was seeing, the pictures and stuff like that. And she had shared some stuff with me. And for those that don't know, she was actually involved with trying to sue the state of California for I guess not letting it be known that there's these Bigfoots in the state. And yeah, that it kind of made national news. And she
You
had
joined
Todd,
up
yeah,
with
with
Dan?
Todd
Yeah.
Stanley, which yeah, I don't know, I guess all that kind of fell through, right? Nothing ever really happened with that. And then soon after before she passed, she was explaining to me she was having all this weird stuff. That's why she moved from the California property, was because she had all this weird, strange stuff going on, and moved out east. And that's when we were keeping in touch, and then soon after she passed away. So that was pretty trippy. And yeah, and she was in that Barb Shoop video there. So
Yeah. And so what's happening is exactly what I thought. I brought up Barb Shoop in that video because it's popular and people generally will know what I was talking about. And I'm looking in the chat, and you'll have a number of different responses, to that. Oh, I debunked grasses. I debunked that years ago. And you have some saying it was, just a branch falling. And somebody said Barb would constantly say that moths that were flying were actually orbs flying. And that's where this whole take happens, right? Is that we got one side who's logically trying to explain what that could be. And then you'll have the other side. Yeah, I saw it. Barb's video was probably a Bigfoot, but didn't cloak. She was panning the cam, and that area was pixelated out as the Bigfoot ducked down, turned around, and ran away. Could be.
So
we weren't
like
there.
like parallax or something, or
Because it was
maybe
moving.
Yeah.
I followed Barb for many years, a couple years prior to that. But after that video, I felt things took a turn with her. And, it wasn't my direction. It was she was too quick to explain it away that it just was a Bigfoot. It was a Bigfoot. And
Yeah.
I
And
can see she came to that.
Interesting. Yeah. And a lot of Bigfooters or people that are into whatever, the UFOs, they'll feel comfortable like that, I guess, around their spots and areas, to where when things are happening, they'll just automatically say, it's them, or,
Yes.
so I see a lot of that happen, and whatever people are I guess are allowed to say and believe whatever they want, right? But yeah, no, those are things that I process, and I see a lot of people will just follow that, and that's where you get, I guess, like the title of the show, woo, what is it, woos equals views, because the more action you're getting, the more activity you're getting, the stranger it is. And if it's not real, people will be attracted to that, like to the strange, and how constant the activity is going on, and da da da. And I do believe people are getting good activity, like that constant activity, maybe activity on their properties and stuff like that. But I do question a lot of people's evidence of stuff also, as we should. But yeah, no, I see a lot of that happening, and some people I know and get along with, I'll notice do stuff like that at times. But yeah, I personally try to get better at discerning certain things when I'm out there, and are feeling certain things, or experience certain things. It's good to dig further and try to figure out what it really might be. But yeah,
That's actually what makes you unique. Okay. It's because you've remained open-minded to both sides, which is kind of hard for a lot of people to do. We get a side and we stick to it, and that's what we believe in, we fight for, we try to explain that. But there are a few people who will float back and forth and keep their mind open to the possibilities of these other explanations for things we can't explain. And what's perfect is what Henry May just said, is that John Green said he did not feel there was anything particularly attractive about explaining one mystery by bringing in another mystery, which is a perfect way of saying that. That's why I never connected the paranormal with Bigfoot, is because I can't find that thread that links them together. They may happen at the same time, but it just doesn't explain it for me. It doesn't seem to explain that.
right. And yeah, we were, as I forget who it was. There was a lady who was gonna do like some sort of like documentary or study on Bigfooters, like their personalities, what makes these people, get into this stuff. And I don't know if that ever got released. I forget who it was, but I'd be interested in checking that out, because I think a lot of that, that's what it comes down to also, is like humanity, humans, and how we uh
Right.
operate, how we process, how we perceive, and stuff like that. And everyone's views and experiences and all that, we're all so different, and we're all obviously not going to believe all the same thing. And so that's where, things kind of get a little rocky between both sides. But I do believe there's a scientific part to it. And what I see also is that science, little by little, is also confirming a lot of things that the paranormal, or things that have been kind of like far out. Science is slowly like accepting, and it's like certain things are becoming a reality to science now. So it's because science confirms it's real and legit. I think there's a
Right.
lot of things also that science doesn't know about, and so they keep that under wraps. They do. I don't know, there's a certain control there in that whole scene, and even the people that are in the science, the scientists, and the academic schools and all. I think all that is very much controlled, and so the information's controlled. And so it's up to the people to do their thing, and here we are trying to figure it out.
Right. So Cowboy, Barb's channel isn't Snow White Bigfoot. It was Barb and Gabby. Gabby was her dog, since passed, and now I think she has another dog now, right?
Another thing,
I'm gonna s-
people want a lot of people, are into the strange and the bizarre, especially stuff online. People are you could say even addicted to that. A lot of us are addicted to being online and getting, clicking on cool and trippy stuff. And so you need more of that. And so they say, even like for example, like TikTok, like supposedly like the videos there are only a certain amount of time, like a certain amount of seconds, because we only, our attention span, and so like videos are getting shorter and stuff like that. I prefer long format stuff.
uh,
And so like that, there's gonna be I guess you could say a market for that, so that people are gonna have to produce more stuff to feed this hunger of these people process, consuming this
right.
stuff. And so there you're gonna get more hoaxes and stuff like. And now with AI and everything, AI is a hot topic right now.
That's
You're gonna
all
get a lot more.
on anybody trying to get evidence. The whole AI thing is killing it, because nobody's going to believe anything anymore. And well, the scientific side anyway isn't going to believe anybody anymore. The woo side tends to just, I notice it's kind of like the far left and the far right. Okay. If you have that one far side, there's nothing that's going to stop them from just believing what's told to them. Okay. So if somebody came up and said, a Bigfoot portaled right into a tree. Oh, that's cool. What did you see? What happened? And how did you feel? And, the questioning automatically is just belief. And it does. I think, where did I see it? Pat from Squatch Talk just says it's a people thing. It totally is a people thing, where it plays into how you think about life, how you take life,
How you were programmed, how you were brought up, how you process, your perception. I think that has a lot to do with it, because I mean, if you're debating this with a person that maybe doesn't, how would you say, maybe doesn't, maybe an angry person, maybe they got issues and stuff like that, other stuff, and they process stuff a certain way, and
different.
and they come off negatively. A lot of stuff could lead to physical stuff, and I know there's been physical things happen in this arena. And so that's Yeah, that's where I think the issue is, again, the people like Pat said, and a lot of times I don't agree with Pat, but good to see you out there, Pat. Hopefully one day we could chop it up here, man. Have a
If
smoke.
because look at it this way, what evidence exists to support the claim of cloaking? There is no evidence for that. You
Well,
have nothing but a person's claim, what they saw, you know.
yeah, well, and these weird videos. So what do we do with that?
But there's not as many as you'd think, you know, of a cloaking a portal. There's not a whole lot of that. And then there's just a lot of blurry images, which we deal with anyway, because everybody knows Bigfoot is blurry, right?
Yeah, they're born blurry.
They're just born that way. But could it be a natural phenomenon? You know, I don't know. And
there's a lot. Yeah,
Go ahead.
you know what comes to mind? Sorry about that, Nikki. Could it be a phenomena? It is. And you know what comes to mind right now? I don't know if anyone's done any like digging around the Green Man. So there's this I guess in Europe, I think it might be the UK or parts of Europe. There's this how would you say not a deity, maybe a deity, but like there's a word I'm looking for. It's downloading. But anyway, archetype, and it's portrayed as this green man, and a lot of people believe that it's like this wild man, Bigfoot like being, and a lot of times he's portrayed as green and around plants and stuff like that, which kind of reminds me of this cloaking Bigfoot type thing. So I don't know, could there be something there in antiquity with this green man thing? I don't, I like to dig into weird old stuff like that, and yeah, it's been brought up of the green man.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I mean, there's folklore and stories and encounters in history forever about things, going on. So, but again, does it just have to do with the mind? Is it just something people are making up in their head? Even if they feel it's real, is it or isn't it? And yes, Mountain Man, magic mushrooms will definitely help you see portals. Let me catch up here.
And I know there's talks of people using psychedelics to try to connect with these types of beings, the Bigfoots and stuff like that. I've heard of stuff like that.
Oh wow! I wonder who.
I heard yesterday even someone mentioning talks of DMT and trying to connect with the Sasquatches. I didn't hear the results, but I was like, good luck. I'm sure you'll run into something for sure. But there's about that, and it's I don't knock it. You never know.
So then we have magic portals, right? We're talking about these portals, and do they exist? We have pictures of people showing these swirly, fuzzy images also out there in the forests or on the end of long roads. And you see the Colorado Bigfoot has a big old portal out there. Yeah. And I think Dr. Johnson had a portal. And, there's been several Bigfoot people with their portals and have run with it, have just said that's what this is, believe me, and that's the end of the story.
It seems like there's particular things in the paranormal that gain traction, and one of them right now is like the portals. Everyone wants to hear more about portals, and the port, it's one of those things, just like Dogman, right now is like dogman fever still, you know, and people want more of that. And so so anything to do with portals but
Mhm.
you know, you hear about these accounts again from tribes and even what I feel is honest people. And yeah, you know, of course it's just once again stories, but yeah, so I take those with the little grain, and I do believe there are these things out there, you know. Have people recorded them? Possibly. I haven't seen too many you know, too much good footage of portals out there, but I have seen, of course, Colorado's and a few others out there. I think Scott Carpenter had one as well. I think, yeah, there's a few out there,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it is the thing. Yeah,
but
we're
he was
learning.
really
Uh-huh.
into not just Bigfoot, but the dog man, and
Oh yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
he was one of the
Oh,
first to really start filming himself, his back, you know, and all
yep.
that stuff.
I
I
call that doing the Scott
appreciated
Carpenter.
his boots on the ground approach, but it just got too far fetched for me to see the blurry images. And then on some podcast, on something, he had an original photo, and then he showed his um, how he re-imaged it and changed it to bring out this image, and he
Mm,
lost. He did that
uh,
and showed he was manipulating the photos. I'm like, that's it, I'm done. And then the
yeah,
things were sitting at him at his home, and it just got too way out there for me. He
yeah,
seemed like a really nice guy, but I wasn't going for it, and I just completely stopped
and
watching
again,
anything he had.
I feel you. And you know, a lot of those guys, I love, you know, watching that, you know, stuff, because you never know. And again, so back to the human, maybe there's something that happens when a person starts thinking like that. You know, I do believe in possession of spirits and demons and entities like that. You know, there's a bunch of crazy people running out in the streets right now here in LA. You know, it's wild. And I do believe a lot of these people are possessed by things. And
Well, they want to believe so bad in the travel between dimensions. People want to get off this earth and they want to travel somewhere else and get out. I think that's the reason why they believe so
yeah, well,
heavily that
yeah, they need
portals want it to
they
exist. They want to be
yeah,
able to get out of this dimension. And,
out of the
but
matrix.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
we all need an escape for sure. But no, what I was trying to get at is that, like, maybe some of these people that are going far out and seeing these weird you know, fuzzy or blob shaped stuff, and they're maybe they're going through some issues themselves where they're having this sort of possession of something, and it's having them see and experience these things and all that. You know, I think there's that possibility as well, you know. um yeah, and also could some of these weird blobby could it be these actual beings, you know? We don't know that either. So like on the science side, science don't know. There hasn't been evidence to show that these things can't do that, you know. So there's always that other side of things. I think we're in a
That's the
world of,
other side. Right.
yeah, we're in a world of polarities here. There's the black and white. It's the checkerboard floor, you know, the black and white, the yin and yang. So there's always going to be that both sides of stuff. And so yeah, so how do we balance, you know, balance, and not
Yeah.
only in this but in everything else in life. So
Hmm.
it's a tough, it's a hairy one.
Portals have been a viable theory for decades, but not for this kind of research. Well, it's a way, an explanation that people like to use, you know, when they can't explain something. Maybe it's something they saw and they can't explain it. Well, you're automatically going to go to these things that are already out there, already, you know, in the Bigfoot community, the portals and the cloaking and the magically case of the disappearing footprints. That's the next one I have. You know, how can you be following a set of footprints and then magically they're gone? There's not the second print. The mud's
Yeah,
the same, the substrate's the same, and there's one print.
yeah,
It
and
just
you know,
it doesn't
yeah,
make sense to
it's
science.
weird. It's weird, yes. And then I've heard people talk about like, oh, that it's a lot of times you'll see only the right foot or something like that, and then it'll just disappear. I don't know about all that. But yeah, no, I've had, and then people have explained that maybe they jump off to something or maybe they somehow go backwards. I don't know. I've heard of stuff even that they will use a, a piece of brush and cover their tracks and stuff like that, like kind of sweep them away. And
More
yeah,
high, more highly intelligent. But you're right. They say these theories that it's portal jumping, it's levitating. I've heard some say it's just environmental type of factors, such as the wind blowing it, or rain came and washed it out, or something of that sort. Which to me makes more sense in some cases, but it's happening, right? We're seeing one, maybe two, but one print. And our minds, remember, are set up to see these things, just like they're set up to see faces in the brush. They're set up when we're looking for footprints. Guess what? We're going to see footprints, wherever we're looking.
Projecting. And that's another thing, we got to be careful with. And I've been practicing that more and more is what I'm projecting, like just in my daily life, and it's been really helping me have better days, because I think, the mind is very powerful. And so, you could project certain things and things will happen, good or bad.
Exactly, cowboy. He's saying, I've always wondered about Patty. How come she didn't go through a portal or a UFO scooper upper and something like that? Exactly. Well, if a Bigfoot is threatened, then why would it not just portal away? And somebody else, was it Enzo? I'm not sure, made a comment that it said, if that place they're portaling to is such a great place, why don't they just stay there? Or what's their reason to come here?
Right. And I questioned that in the mountain last time we were talking, in the Mount St. Helens situation. Why didn't, if those Bigfoots died there, why didn't they portal out of there? And also, which brings me to earlier today, I love Sundays because it's my Small Town Monster Day. That's when they premiere their documentaries. And I'm not sure if you follow their channel there, but today's documentary was Eli Watson, and he covered the whole Sierra kills. And you remember that whole situation, right? And so there again, the guy is explaining how he took some of these creatures out, or these beings out, and why didn't they do, portal out then, if they really did get killed. And then who knows if that really happened, of course. What's up, Kaiju, Enzo, everybody out there, salute. Why don't they do that then?
Go into a McDonald's.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things that don't make sense with that whole theory of portals and what they use them for, or why they would use them that way. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't,
Why cross the road when you could portal to the other side? No, they want to be seen, right?
Wherever you want to. Jen says because McDonald's is junk food. That's why they don't go there.
They prefer the local co-op.
But it is, have you encountered, well, I think a lot of us have encountered where you see one print, the majority of the time, I feel like that's what we find is just one. I think it's more rare to find a whole trackway than just a single print, or what you think is a single print.
Yep, I think so.
Trackways as you go help you define if it's a bear or if it's a human, right? The more footprints you have to compare, the better. So,
but I hear science is coming out with more stuff, pointing towards the whole portal thing being real. And then you hear stuff about like CERN and stuff like that, these facilities where they're possibly, smashing particles and trying to find the God particle, and portals possibly opening up and stuff. And then you hear it also in the occult, where people are practicing certain type of rituals to where they're opening portals and stuff like that. One, for example, comes to mind that I've been looking into is the Babylon workings. It was Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, and L. Ron Hubbard were doing all this weird stuff out here, and here near Pasadena, in the Pasadena area, which ties to like NASA, JPL, and all this other stuff. But yeah, could they be doing stuff, opening portals? I think so, and letting, entities in, beings in. I think it's possible it's going on. I believe there's, satanic things going on out there, and yeah, there's a whole spiritual side to this reality, and some of us are not in touch with it. Some of us are, and I feel that's again where things get, kind of mixed up. There's how would you say, maybe not enough knowledge on both ends to meet at a agreeable space. I feel like a lot of us, I get along with when I go up north, and a lot of Bluff Creek guys aren't, or the guys that we go out with up there aren't into they're not woo, I wouldn't call them woo at all, but a lot of them have had strange experiences that people would consider woo, but they don't, they don't harp on it or anything like that. Kind of, you hear those things when you're there, camping out, and people bring up strange things that have happened, stories and stuff like that. Those things do come up, and it surprises me. It's like, oh, there's, this guy here who I thought was like just straight science, and he's had, some of the weird stuff happen that we people talk about. So, things are happening for sure.
Good, great point, because many investigators out there have had weird shit happen. When you're out in the woods, weird shit happens, and you can't explain what it is. But it's that point exactly, that you can't make an assumption that one belongs to the other, without some kind of definitive proof that it does. Otherwise, they're just two separate things that happen to happen around the same time. And you just mark it down, right? It's all data. It's all data of stuff that's happening. And it's the same thing with orbs. Are orbs connected to Bigfoot? Many people have been out there hunting, camping, doing, things not related to Bigfoot at all, and have seen lights out in the darkness that cannot be explained.
Yeah, so trip out on this really quick, because I'm big on the orbs. When I was up and living up in Humboldt, in the hills, southern Humboldt, the orb thing started. There was things happening around the property that I felt, and I was already getting into Bigfoot again. Was it, the fact that I was getting into all this stuff, and was I projecting things, because things started happening on the property. And mind you, this is 40 acres up in the hills, heavily wooded, it's total Bigfoot country. And things started happening, I was seeing, like, hearing tree breaks, knocks every once in a while, just a lot of little things that, people point toward Bigfoot activity. So I'm like, shoot, I'm having activity here on the property, awesome. And that's when I started really getting into more of this stuff. And then eventually at some point, the orbs started popping up on the land there. And I started documenting that. And I got a ton of footage. I was live streaming a lot of this stuff at the time, and got a lot of videos of it. And so again, my intentions were like, okay, Bigfoot, if they're out here on the land, and while this is all going on, these orbs are popping up, and it became almost like a nightly thing. And so whatever it is, there's something there. And I couldn't put it together, but there's definitely stuff going on. And then these lights also popping up. But another thing I wanted to touch on is again, if maybe people are experiencing something else and thinking that it is Bigfoot, because a lot of times in the paranormal, you'll hear these different types of entities tend to have like this trickster element to it. and so I believe that is very possible and most likely true. So it could be something else acting like it's one of these beings and is connecting with you, and maybe these other things have weird things to them and they could do weird stuff, and people are claiming it to be these beings. I don't know, just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Oh, would you read a comment there?
In yeah. So Cowboy also stated that how do we know that people aren't getting these stompers and going out there and stomping around the forests and making, we know that happens. We know those type of hoaxes happen, and they happen quite often. People get a kick out of it, and that's why we have to take it, right? We have to just try to find the motion in the footprints, try to learn more about tracking and tracks, and how to tell the difference between a flat track and a motion track, where if something is alive, the footprint will show that, and many people will just take a print and assume that it is a real because it's a perfect print. Well, that's stamped foot is very much different from something in motion. And that's what trackers see. That's what trackers learn, is to identify motion, how feet fall, how a four-legged walk is compared to a bipedal walk. And I mean, even Dr. Meldrum, his specialty of how humans have evolved in their walking and what makes real. Now, I'll be the first to say I don't believe in all of the ones that Dr. Meldrum has claimed are real, that he feels are real. I just don't, and that's okay. I'm not an expert. He may be the expert, but we all have that right to give our opinion on stuff out in the public. If I don't believe in a track, or if I don't believe in a photo or a video, we can all have our own opinion about this stuff because we just don't know. And right now we're at that stage. It's a very long stage, 50 plus years of trying to figure this out, right? Until one lands on somebody's feet there. I think we're going to be stuck in this same position for quite a while. But
I enjoy the mystery. I'm in no rush to put an end to it. I'm enjoying the ride, and enjoying some of the people along the way. What was I going to say? Oh, I don't know if it's true, but maybe fact check this one. But I was hearing even a small percentage of humans have a mid-tarsal break.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Okay.
Feet morphology is very complex, actually. And there are flat feet, there are feet with high arches, there are long toes, little toes, big fat toes. There are all kinds of feet out there.
Yeah, I got funny feet. My second toe is longer than the big toe.
So it's a whole wide range of things that could be out there. Also, the whole shoe market came out with the toed feet, the toed shoe for the runners who want to be in touch with the ground, and it's supposed to help with their balance and long types of hikes, and because it's not natural for our feet to be in shoes. It's kind of ruined our feet over the years. So it's more natural thing that people wear those shoes with the toes in them. So when that came out, the bottoms were kind of not grooved very well when those originally came out. So there was a lot of people making false claims about those on trails and stuff like that. More recently, that the bottoms are now riveted, and they have their design on the bottoms, and you can tell.
Do they got dermal ridges on them now?
Now they look like dermal ridges, yeah.
Yeah, I found some of those tracks before, actually, here in these San Gabriel mountains here in the Angeles Forest, and I was hiking with my bro. We spotted them. I was like, oh look, some track. And then yeah, no, we seen a guy hiking down, and he was wearing those. It was like, oh yeah, he'd probably just gone up and is heading back down. So, and
Right.
then of course you got the, up north, you got the hippies who love, walking barefoot. So you got to keep that in mind too. I try
Yeah.
to, when I'm out in the redwood forest, if I get a moment, I'll kick my shoes off, socks off, and and I do believe it's a good way to ground yourself. A lot of people believe that, and yeah, once again, one of these is spiritual things, and yeah, also the forest. There's shamans out in the jungles. Let's say Peru, for example,
Mhm.
that will say that they do once again the psychedelics come up, and they talk about how the jungle is alive, and I do believe, yeah, these forests are alive. The trees are alive, the grass, the every things are alive, and who knows if in that environment there's other things that aren't previewed to our vision. They say we could only see in certain spectrums and stuff, and I do believe there's a lot more out there that we're not able to see at the moment. So all that comes up too with me.
Yeah. That takes us into a whole different kind of spiral if we go in that direction with the spectrum and seeing things or not seeing. And then we get into the ghosts and the apparitions, and you can take that to a whole different thing. So
What's the other
let's,
one that excuse me, that talks of there were some people, and there's one particular research, or whatever you want to call him, a lot of people are not fond of, but I think he's one of them who's been really pushing the whole thing, and there's a few others about the hairs, their hairs being clear, and that
mm,
basically they could reflect somehow colors and certain things. Like, you've heard of that stuff too, right? And
uh-huh.
I don't know, is that a thing? Could that be a thing? Is that what it is? I don't know, but that definitely comes
Some
up too with
people
all
wanted
this.
to try to claim that they were hollow and clear and similar to like a polar bear hair, so that it reflected the light, according to its surroundings. And I've also heard some people try to make the claim that their hair was like a chloroplast, where it changed colors similar to what an octopus would do in defense, or a chameleon. Um, but that's a whole different structure. Okay. That's a whole different, those happen in aquatic animals and they happen in reptiles, but I've never heard. Um, Now there are cases like the Arctic fox and the rabbits that in the spring their fur is more brown, and then in the winter their fur is white. I've heard those cases, but not of something that can instantly change like a chameleon. The minute you put it onto a color, it starts to blend in with that background. I haven't heard of a mammal who does that. Um, and of course, we're making that assumption. This thing is a mammal. It's a flesh and blood creature, and grasshopper will start. How do we know? How do we know it's a primate? How do we know? We don't know. We're making the assumption because it's forward eyes and it's walking on two legs, and it has hands and feet, and has to have you know well, from descriptions, the teeth, not the canines. Now, some people I've heard say canine, but for the most part, I think most say that it has more of a dental structure like we do. So,
Yeah, I hear the block teeth lot, chiclet type. Yeah, another thing, we brought this up last time as well, is all right, if that's the case, they're flesh and blood, right? How could they withstand some of those cold temperatures up in some of these mountains, you know, the snow and everything. Yeah, bears, you know, are able, wildlife is able to uh um handle it for the most part. Yeah, I question, yeah, if they're barefoot, you know, how do they move around in these terrains,
They
you know? Because
get
yeah, again, going back to
those
being barefoot and going grounded, it's kind of like ouch, ooh, ooh, ooh. Unless you're really used to it, then you know your feet are broken in, and I would imagine theirs are very much broken and maybe designed for the environment or whatever. But it's still like when I'm out there, I'm like, how do they do it? Like even the cold, sometimes it's just so cold, and I know we're hairless. I mean, I got a little bit of hair, but uh yeah, how do they do it? Like it would be
right.
impossible for.
There's been more speculation about that. We had that on my recent episode of the Winter Squatch, where we discussed, you know, how do these things survive the winter? Do they have special types of skin? Do they have thicker coats in the winter? Do they migrate? Do they hibernate? Do they have thick soles in their feet, which is a claim, you know, even for the P&G film for Patty, that she had thick bottom feet, you know, were thick on the bottom. So there's gonna always be speculation about this stuff, and I love talking about it all, but it's a very
Yeah.
good
And the food again, like yeah, how do you, I mean, do you have deer jerky or all winter, or what's the meal plan like?
right, you know, do they store all their food for the winter like a chipmunk and they almost have to, or do they again, you know, migrate to a place where they know they can find a lower elevation where they can find food?
Portal to
There's so
McDonald's.
many questions. For this, yeah, for this particular show, they would just portal to the Bahamas. So, you know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
man. I like that one.
Yeah. The Bigfoot Bahama Mama. Yeah, that'll be a good one. Um, so
Yeah,
let's see.
we're back 360 to you know, it's all these questions come up, and I question all this stuff all the time to myself, you know, and with whoever else would like to engage in such
That's it.
questioning. But yeah, no, I think about it a lot all the time, and it's still, you know, it's fascinating. I know people get frustrated, people get upset, and because it could be frustrating. And then yeah, with the internet and you know all these different stories from different people coming out now, and you don't know, you know, who to believe. So again, coming back to how to process even
That
information that you're getting
takes us to the
online.
next one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. The reasons why people believe in the woo. What makes them go, you know, to that? That's exactly what you're saying. Um, what I came up with was what you were the need for that mystery, the meaning of what's happening. Was it spiritual? Is it paranormal experience? Is psychological, cognitive, mental health? There are so many different reasons why people believe, you know, the woo for themselves. Everybody's on their own path, right? And we don't know each individual unless they tell us, you know, well, I believe because I'm very spiritual and I'm connected with the earth, and these things will only become visible to those who have their mind open. And you know, we've heard all these reasonings, and for them it's a very real reason. So what's your take on that? Did is
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I feel yeah, no, again, yeah, the more fantastical something sounds, the more people are going to be attracted to it, of course. And then, you know, online, that's you know, there's a formula to these. Let's say, for instance, here on YouTube, there's a formula for, you know, making videos and getting views and all that. You know, you're going to have your title, your thumbnail, you know, your hook, and all that stuff. So you want, you know, you want to do that, you know, if you're into making videos and stuff, but there's there's going to be people out there that are going to use that to hook you in and check out their BS, right? So you got to be careful with that. And again, where do you find the good stuff, and where's the stuff that you got to kind of just go through it and figure it out. But there's people that'll guide you certain ways, and I don't know. I just again, I'm hearing stuff like far out stuff that it could be true. Again, I don't know. I'm not there. I can't prove. But like wars or these creatures being weaponized and that they're battling other cryptids, and it's just real fantastical, right? And so yeah, of course that shit, it's going to sell, right? Of course, people want to action packed, and I don't know. I just feel like I go by my experiences and my feelings. And so when I hear someone's encounter, we'll have, certain vibes, certain little things will ring a bell maybe, or we'll bring up certain experiences you've had, or maybe information you've heard. And I just go about life like that. There's just, I feel like people call it whatever, the universe will send information my way, and certain information, and the way it comes about. And it kind of just, for me, it'll be like a little bit of confirmation sometimes, or confirmation, full on confirmation sometimes of things. And it's bizarre how things work out. So I think, again, this reality we're in is a lot more stranger than we think, and we're learning more about that, being able to manifest certain things. People are learning more about meditation and themselves, and I feel definitely there is something there. So there is a part of humanity that is, going through this growth process, and yeah, there's something to that. And I believe these weird things we're seeing in the sky, these different beings, also may come along with all that. So again, these different entity spirits, it's a thing.
The whole thing. And people take it seriously, and that's why we have these headbutts with people out there. But I'll keep trying to put my my way out there, is more the scientific way, and I don't believe everything that's comes out. I'm an evidence skeptic. I wholeheartedly believe there is a bipedal primate, relic hominin, whatever out there, but for when it comes to people, I have a little bit less trust in some of the stuff they're presenting. But that's okay. I still love you. I just think it's going to take, for me, it's going to take me walking in the woods and get scared to death because something walks in front of me one of these days.
Hey, and if that's what you desire, Nikki, I believe it could happen. It'll happen. Keep doing your thing.
Be careful what you wish for. People keep saying, and that's probably be absolutely true in my case. That I'm gonna regret it after that. But
I think you keep wishing for it. Just project it as a positive experience.
Yeah, positive. Sure. We'll see. We'll see.
Make sure you have some. Yeah, make sure you have some snacks on you for the experience, for the Bigfoot.
For the Bigfoot, yeah. A bag of apples in my bag. Well, that probably attract bears too, but I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this conversation? Is it
Red Delicious or Granny Smith?
Right. Gotta go with the Honeycrisp.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Honeycrisp fan. I love Pink Ladies. I'm a produce dude. I worked produce for a very long time out here in LA. Actually, the warehouse is not too far from our shop here, and I'm kind of tripping out. Like, oh my goodness, there's the warehouse, and it's actually for one of the bigger health food stores out there. And yeah, I did quite a bit. I did like 8 years for them. And so I'm big on produce. I love exotic produce, fruits and stuff like that. And
And you know all the right ones to go for.
oh
And so
yeah.
says Connie Smith, hands down, ambrosia.
Ambrosia, yeah.
Bill says that. Yeah. So what else do I have on here? Oh, okay, that's the next one.
And you know what? I'll tell you right now, Nikki. You know, there's a lot of people I check out too that are putting out some of this stuff we're talking about, and you know, some of them have some interesting stuff, and then they'll share maybe like some timestamps, and I'm just like, no, and it is just it fires me up, and so that's where I get emotional too. You know, I want to go and talk some madness, go talk some, and yeah, you know, and so, but then that's where I'm like, hey, that's where I gotta that you know the ego, hey, simmer down now, you know, and that's when I gotta begin that process and breathe, maybe go smoke a few bowls or something, and hey, and go through these things that we talked about. You know, if you weren't there, you don't know, da 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 da, and so I have to come to a good point where I'm feeling good and I'm not letting those feelings run my day or you know anything like that. So just a little advice for some of those people that get fired up. It's all
good.
right.
That's good that you've learned that already, because for many years I would just tell people off, you know, and get all into their face. I actually am not as bad as I used to be about that. But you have to admit, you just have to admit, a lot of it has to do with mental health. Okay.
Yes.
There are some people out there that are not, they're not in their right minds.
Yeah, well, you know, the narcissism comes out. I mean, you all have your group has, you know, and I say your group, but people in your world have done amazing work on pulling the cards on some of these folks, and I'm, you know, do your thing, and someone's got to do it, and it's I don't know, it just shows a lot, and I'm surprised that a lot more people aren't, you know, on top of some of those situations that have happened, but yeah, no, there's the narcissistic behavior that's really big, and it comes with all this internet, and you know, people getting a certain attention, certain people making, you know, when there's money and stuff, it could get gnarly. So, yeah, again, you know, just I don't know, practicing, trying being right with yourself, and reflecting that outside as much as possible. But yeah, no, there's moments where I'll probably will tell people off still if it really, you know, gets me. But for the most part, you know, I try to keep it cool and but yeah, there is people that I do follow that I'm just like, I don't agree with what they're putting out. And maybe, and I feel like if I do come off a certain way, it's just gonna start a whole thing of this just, oh yeah, he's being, you know, he's the bad one and you're the bad guy for questioning certain things. And although I do believe people should be getting pressed about their situations and stuff like that, just like if we get into this little video that the thermal footage, I mean, I want people to come and press me, especially you guys, because y'all are tough. You know, Pat, the tall one, you know, y'all are some serious folks here. So, and yeah, I'm you know, I want to get pressed. Yeah, come question me about what's happened or what I'm putting out, and how could we get to a conclusion on whatever it may be. I'm totally open to all that, and yeah, rip me apart.
I think for the most part, we focus, well, like Brent and there's others, Steve Calls and them that really focus on the really the ones that hurt people, or you know, end up taking money from people, or are totally just where the proof is there, the receipts are there proving that, you know, it's fake and it's made up, and they're just doing this for the clicks and the views and for their own gain. No matter what's happened, they really focus on those, you know, the ones that are just outright lying. And that's okay, you know. A lot of people are a little bit susceptible to, getting taken advantage of. And I mean, look at what Rick Dyer did. He completely sucked people into believing that he had a Bigfoot, and they were willing to send him money to get videos, to go see his, fake Bigfoot. He hoaxed people many times, and people still believed him. They just want, and now, about 4 or 5 days ago, he has completely come up with another video saying that he's found Bigfoot again. He has Bigfoot on trail camera. He's insinuated that he's caught another Bigfoot, and that things are to come. Him and his new team tracker, which is just this one guy. As far as I know, he has one guy on his team. And somewhere, I don't know, Texarkana or somewhere, the border of Arkansas and somewhere, they found a Bigfoot. So,
well, they say East Texas is a hot spot. So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, there was something else I was that came to mind, but maybe it'll pop up again. But let's see, we were talking Rick. Slipped me, but anyway.
Yeah, there's also a whole thing where maybe people make Bigfoot more supernatural because it's exciting to them. It gives them more of the mystery, and I don't know. Everybody, I guess, has their own reason, but
oh yeah. Yeah, I think again, the more fantastical something is, the more it's gonna attract the people, and I want to say more people. Again, they're looking for the escape, something that get them out of this mundane matrix, this at 9 to 5 every day, So yeah, they're gonna look for something that's gonna be far out, and there's plenty of that online. So I don't know.
That's put in my sunglasses, buy me a camper.
And again, the best thing to do is to find out for yourself. Get out there, see what's going on. Maybe you'll start having some of these strange experiences. And it seems to be happening with several people that are out there doing this work, that they're it seems like leaning over towards the paranormal sides of things now and stuff like that. And some of these people are up in question with some of their evidence also. But again, and so now I remember, so you all did something on one of the bigger paranormal Bigfooters out there, which really opened my eyes, because I used to really follow this person and channel, and some of the latest stuff y'all pulled up. I was just like, wow, okay, it really opened my eyes. And yeah, it just, I don't really follow anymore, and I see certain things that just I'm not feeling, and it's a trip. Yeah, who knows? Again, I'm not there in their area. I'm not experiencing what they have going on exactly, but some things I do relate with, and there's a lot of things that also I was learning from there that I do see happen also. But yeah, there was certain things that came up, and it was just like, oh, and yeah, that was due to work that you all were doing. So yeah, thank you for that.
Sorry, it's like I gotta go pick up my daughter pretty soon.
Yeah, no worries. Did you want to roll that clip, and I could give you a brief breakdown.
Let's go into that now. No, I'm good. My other daughter's here. She can go get the other daughter. So
okay, cool.
I'm covered. I'm just waiting for a call. She went to the amusement park. So
okay, so I could give everyone a quick breakdown on this piece of footage.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on to that, and I'm gonna take this off, move us like this. And
if people are muting and unmuting.
Oh, she got a ride home. Never mind.
All right. Yeah, I've been muting and unmuting myself here, so if you touching the button here as much as possible.
Okay,
But
so now the suspense of this awesome thermal footage. Lead us, tell us
yeah,
about it.
and I'm glad you think that, Nikki, because I would have thought, and
It's weird.
you, Brent, I sent it to Jeff Pine Island, and to get because I was like, let me just throw myself in the fire. There's a few people I had sent it to right away as soon as we had discovered what we had here, and we're still not sure about what we have, but anyway, we had gone up. My two of my nephews, they're both over 18, never been camping or anything like that, never been out with Uncle Dwarf. And my brother and I, it's been a while since we had done any camping. I don't think we've even done any camping here. Up north, we have. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, we should get the boys together and go out, one of these days, do an overnight, because the mountains are just like 20 minutes away from us here. It's not far at all. And we forget about that about Los Angeles, that we have these amazing mountains here. And there is some historical Bigfoot stuff here. So there was one report that I've had found, and it was of a Bigfoot. I guess there was a couple up at this near this campground, and it was late night, 1 a.m. or something like that. And the lady needed to go to the restroom, and so the man walked over to the restroom, and they were coming back to the car, and they noticed this figure, tall black figure, kind of going in between the trees, and so they reported this sighting. I don't know if they submitted it to a database. I forget which one exactly. And then there was a YouTube channel that also had covered it. And then I had commented actually on the channel, and come to find out, I think the guy who had the experience, it might have been his channel, because he responded back and he was like, I was the guy that had the experience or something like that. And I was like, oh, cool. And he didn't really get back to me. I left some other messages. But anyway, so I was like, well, let's just go. I've been itching to get out. Let's go camp out overnight. The boys could get out for the first time. We all get to have a day off and enjoy this. And at the same time, I get to check out this old report site. And so we geared up and we headed up the mountain, and it was a windy one. And it's about an hour into the mountains from LA. And the campground, I'll let you know, it's called Chilao Campground. And super cool campground. We got there it was night already, and right before we got into the campground, there was a CHP in the road, blocking the road. A car had almost gone over the mountain there, and we had to wait a little bit. And eventually they cleared that up and let us through. But right before we took off, the CHP had gone up to us and was like, hey, what are you guys doing up here? We were like, oh, we're gonna camp. He was like, you guys be careful, because there's been cults up here, and there's been some people that have been killed. And so be careful if you guys are going to stay up here. So it was like, oh. And so, yeah, we camped out. We set up our camps and stuff. So this is maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Really windy night. It was pretty cold. And we set up shop. And then so I gave, we were going to do a walkabout of the campgrounds just to see if we'd pick up anything, use some of the gear. I had a night vision, which my brother had. And then I have a FLIR and a new thermal, Taipan thermal, which I gave to my two nephews. And so it's their first time using it. I'm showing them how to use it. We're walking around, and we spot some weird lights up on a ridge and trying to discover what that is. And we still haven't discovered what those lights may be. We thought maybe there was a facility up there or something. But anyway, at one point, one of my nephews is getting hits on the thermal, on the Taipan thermal, which is my newer thermal. And I was just using my phone. I was like, hey, let the guys have fun and use some of the night optics. And he was telling us he was getting hits. And I was like, all right, make sure you're recording, man. And he's like, yeah, I'm recording. And so we spent the night. And then the next day we did a day scout, went up to some of the ridges, and then headed back down to home. And I was going through some of the thermal footage, and I started seeing some of the hits he was getting. And some of it was wildlife. But then there was this one particular hit, and it looked like a person at the base of this tree. And at one point, my nephew, you could tell he's zooming in, and the Taipan, when you zoom in, you could zoom in like, I think it's 4 times, and it's fully zoomed in, maybe more. And then if you click it again, the zoom shoots you back to the normal to the normal thing. So my nephew, being the first time, he's trying to, get a zoom in on it, but I noticed it did shoot back. So he's trying to deal with that. And then he's like pointing at the subject, and it looked very, very human-like, and it seems to duck like either behind a bush or next to the tree. It's very strange. You could kind of see what looks like an arm, and it was on the campgrounds, but yet there was only a few people camping at the time. And in this particular area, there was nobody there. People were already kind of like at their campsites and everything. And yes, we have a big, homeless situation here in LA. I don't think too many of those homeless go that far up into the mountains there. Yeah, you might have your some backpacker maybe staying up there. I don't really see too many people like that. But yeah, you get your hikers, the few campers there. It's a big camp, pretty big. I mean, it's pretty decent sized campground. There's several sites. And but yeah, we got this weird thermal hit, and we all believed that there was no one there. We didn't see anything there. My nephew couldn't really even tell that it was humanoid shape, but he was just mentioning that, hey, I'm getting stuff. And so we could check that out. But soon after that thermal hit, or I think it was before or after, and I had my nephew explain, and we actually went for a follow-up. So the following weekend, I wanted to go right away as soon as we discovered what we had there. I'm like, oh my God, we got to go back up there. And but we waited a week. And on the following weekend, we went back up to try to figure out where the tree was and all that stuff, do a follow-up. But yeah, we couldn't pinpoint it. But anyway, my nephew also said that there was a second time where he's seen a subject like kind of on his haunches, and he's seen it take off on 2 feet, but he wasn't able to record that time. And I totally get it. I don't know if this is what happened, but that Taipan thermal, you really got to press down. I have trouble sometimes hitting that record. I wish they would make it more like a feather trigger or something, but yeah. And that's what he got. And this is where more or less where that report was from 1995. So it was an old report. And I just thought it was interesting that happened. And we're going to continue to follow up and try to get up there and try to pinpoint the spot and see if anything else happens. So we'll be back up there as soon as possible.
Wow. So this, okay, again, I'm going to go ahead and I have this ready to go. So it's about a 2-minute video. And how long ago was this again?
This was in November. It's actually soon after my birthday, because another reason why we got to go up, because it was my birthday too. So I was like, oh, I get a little treat, get a little day off, and we go, do some Bigfooting. Yeah. So it was around that time. So early November. And then what was I gonna also get? I was gonna mention something else. I will if it comes up.
Okay, so here we go, guys. It really looks like a head.
Yeah. And so I sent it to a few people right away. And one of them was Jonathan from Western Bigfoot Explorations, and Jonathan Easley. And he was like, oh, it looks kind of weird, bro, but it does look like and when I was looking at it also, he's like, it looks like someone getting into a sleeping bag. And that did cross my mind. He's like, are you sure it wasn't like someone cowboy camping? And I did run that through a few other people, and yeah, we kind of thought about that. But yeah, we don't believe like it was anyone there. I think I don't know. I see there's a few cars there. There's some facilities, I think restrooms, and some campgrounds over that way. But in this area, there was nobody there. There was no tents or anything like that. And we don't think it was anyone really staying there. Again, it was a really brutally cold night as the LA standards. Yeah, my knuckles got all weird and inflamed and stuff because it was so windy and cold. But and so yeah, we don't think that anyone would have been out like really camping out like that. I think they would have been covered up a lot more. And this area does get snow. and they probably possibly have a little snow in the area now, but and there's a ski resort not too far also, so it is pretty high elevation there. And yeah, just kind of weird. And also I find weird that my nephew had that other sighting that he wasn't able to record. So
Uh-huh.
again, I don't know, I just feel like there's something there. We all believe it's something, and we're going to try to again get back up there as soon as possible.
Yeah, he zooms out right when you really want to look at it, you know. But there was just you know, a lot of people there. So
Yep.
the
I
assumption
mean,
that they're kind of to assume it might be just a camper spying on you or playing around.
and I don't think playing around, maybe someone camping. Yeah, that's the thing. We
Yeah.
you know, if we're gonna be logical, someone cowboy camping. But again, we
Why in
don't
the
think so.
You're right. Why?
Yeah,
You know,
why in that particular area? Who knows? If it's a homeless person, maybe trying to stay away from the rest of the campers, you know, that you got to think
you
about
never
that.
walked over there.
Yes. So we tried to pinpoint it the following week. We went back up, but we couldn't. We're completely searching in a different area. So my nephew was kind of confused on where he was getting the hit. And I thought it was going to be easy to find, and it wasn't. We actually had a little trouble. So we need to go back, really look at this video and figure out where that tree is.
Oh, but this night you never went up to it. You never went that direction.
No. Just because my nephew, he was just like saying that he was getting hit. So he got other wildlife. I think it was like a deer, some deers and stuff like that. So anytime he was capturing stuff, he's like, "Hey, I'm getting a hit," and I'm like, "All right, just make sure you're recording." But he wasn't telling us what he was seeing. You know, he was just saying,
Yeah.
I'm getting something." You know. And a lot of people, you know, some people that I shared this with, which are well-known Bigfooters, they're like, "Oh man, he got that beginner's luck." Because there's this thing where a lot of times people who go out for the first time or will be using a gadget for the first time will get something. And so it is a thing. So who knows? Maybe he did, you know, maybe this is one of those lucky moments. Maybe there is such stuff going on up there. And like I said, there has been reports, and I have gone out into these areas with other people that were working these areas several years back, and we were finding, you know, the structures, which I know a lot of people aren't into, but yeah, you find the weird structures up there and other stuff like that. So just wanted to mention that. So who knows? I don't know. It's a who knows, and it's trippy. We got that on thermal.
Yeah. It does. It just looks someone lying down. That's what a Bigfoot would look like in the dark, though, something lying down.
So
And
yeah,
then
anyone interested in like breaking down the video? I had a buddy of mine do some zooms and some breakdowns of it. If anyone's interested or wants to hear more or any other questions, please let me know. I'd be, you know, would love to get feedback from anyone, and I'm willing to share that clip with anyone that does look into videos and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's interesting. I bet you once you found
yeah.
that, you were like, "Dang it!"
Oh, I
couldn't.
was so shocked, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
like, even if it's a person or whatever, but still, I was like, dude, you got something on thermal. Here we go. So it's just, you know,
It's either a person or a Bigfoot, or I don't know. I don't think a dog would have moved like that, and I don't think a bear would have moved like that. It's a human. It's a person, or it's a Bigfoot. It's one of the two.
yeah. So yeah, and if anyone's in the area and would like to go and check it out, let's go. Let me know, and yeah, we're gonna keep, like I said, going at it.
It was a really hot hit. So was it if you're wearing clothes, it doesn't look like that. Does it look like that? I don't know.
I don't know. I think clothes you could you could tell. And the subject doesn't look like massive. It's not like bulky or anything. I don't think it looks small, like a small person, you know. And so yeah, I'm not sure what it is. And yeah, could it be someone? Yeah, for sure. But again, we don't feel like it is, and I don't think we would have gone up even the following week. I wanted to go right away, like the night after, but I was like, oh, the guys are probably gonna think I'm nuts. We just came back from up there, and gas and everything. So I gave it a few days, and it ended up being the following weekend, and we went back up there, and just because we all felt that it was something, and we don't think it's a person, so, and we're gonna continue it. So I think we're could be onto something here. And I know a lot of people don't believe that these things could be out here in Southern California, but we got these mountain ranges here,
those were
and
tense. You were right.
And there is some history out here. So
wow, that's interesting. Makes you wonder. I know when we go camping, I always try to find the most remote. If I use the campground, instead of just dry camping out off a road, which is the last time I went, I just went right off the road. But when you go, it's nice to go to a real, campground and have a toilet like not far away and have, have that luxury. I always try to pick the site that's the furthest away from everybody and stuff.
Which we did. So we went all the way towards the end of that campground, and there was nobody there, so it was perfect. But what we did is we walked the whole campground.
Yeah,
and so that was, I want to say, is maybe towards the front of the campground for some reason. I'm feeling it's towards that way because that was where the other restroom facilities were, and yeah, so we did definitely try to stay away from people and didn't want to bother anyone, but at the same time trip out on this. So we could tell that it looked like just 2 people camping there at the time, so it wasn't many, and there's a bunch of campsites. The following, what was it? My brother had gotten a message on his Instagram because he shared some pictures from that trip, and one of his followers, his friends, was like, hey dude, you guys were up there that weekend? He's like, yeah, we were up there. So one of our customer friends here was camping up there, and he goes up there regularly. So he was in one of those groups. He happened to be in one of those groups, and he said he's seen our truck leaving when we left, but didn't know, and he didn't come over and present himself. But he did mention the time that he came to the shop. I got to talk to him about it because my brother mentioned to me, he's like, hey, so and so left me a message that he was up there. And so I was like, hey man, this and this and this happened. He's like, did you notice anything? And, I started questioning him, and he was like, yeah, no, he didn't notice anything, but he does go up there frequently and have noticed some strange things, but never anything really Bigfoot related. He mentioned some more paranormal stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a trip that he happened to be up there when we were. Unfortunately, we didn't get to hook up, but yeah, pretty trippy.
So he didn't have any kids that were fooling around, running around,
no,
trying to be away from the folks.
No, I asked him several questions, and he didn't mention anything that would have explained what it was. He just said that a lot of weird stuff happens up there. Also, what was I gonna say? Yeah, and I don't think kids would have been running that far that late at night. I think it was already like 11, maybe going towards midnight, so it was pretty late. And I don't think kids would have been running around like that in the dark.
Yeah, I doubt it. When kids, when you take kids camping, it's usually they're so hard at it all day that by 8 or 9, kids are already starting to bunk down after the s'mores, after the marshmallows and
the sugar rush. Yeah,
they start to crash, and they're out by 9 usually.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, as soon as that sun goes down, I would imagine. And also for us, it was like one of those, because I've done a lot of camping, being out in, different weather. Luckily, not heavy snow. I've never camped in heavy snow or anything like that. But for the most part, when it's really cold, it kind of, you want to go in your tent and wrap it up. It was that windy and cold that night that it was intense. Yeah, it was funny. My brother had bought a sleeping bag for the occasion and accidentally got this small one. He said it only went up to his chest or so, and he said he was freezing that night. It was cold. It was really cold.
Oh,
No
wow.
snow, but cold and windy. And like I said, I don't think anyone would be. I'm like, good luck if you're a cowboy camping that night, because yeah, it really affected my knuckles. And I also mentioned working produce. I worked with a lot of packages with ice and stuff like that, and different temperature coolers. So our hands would get cold a lot. So my hands are used to being in the cold, and this stuff had my knuckles flared up. It recently just healed up one of my pinky knuckle. You know, they were
Wow.
split open. It was weird. It was this weird, dry cold. I got to emphasize on that.
Jonathan from Sasquatch Wizard is asking, how far from the thermal's position would you guess the target was?
Oh man, I would say less, maybe like 50 yards. I would imagine, if I were to guess. Yeah, it's not too far because we're on the road there, and yeah, I would imagine it would be no more than 50 yards. So it was pretty close.
Huh. See, and that's my whole thought, is I think they come into us. You know, I don't think, oh, I moved. Did I not fix my camera before I started? Hold on.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That, you know, we're going to be able to bring them in to investigate us more than we're going to be able to go out there and find them, you know?
Oh yeah, I agree. Ooh, what's up with my audio there?
Ooh, yeah, everything's weird now. We're talking about this, and then
Yeah,
all my
we're heating it up here.
I don't know. Maybe
We're
we're getting on.
tickling the algorithm, I think.
Yeah. Scott Walker says, well, welcome to the channel. I got a question with thermal cameras at nighttime. If you saw a white Pink Floyd, what would it look like with the thermal? What would it look? It wouldn't look the same as a normal Bigfoot. What are you talking about? Is
Let's
that
see, a Pink Floyd. I don't know. I know Pink Floyd. So is this some sort of a trick, occult question? Let's see. Dark side of the, what is it? Dark side of the moon. I don't know. I'm not sure on that one.
40, 50 yards away? It should have been bigger than that on thermal. Kind of looks
Okay,
like a
so
normal person.
yeah. It does look very much like a normal person to me. Yeah, we're not arguing that.
Yep.
And it looks like to me, it doesn't even look like a big person. It looks like a small
Oh,
person.
he says he means what would a white Bigfoot look like at
Oh,
nighttime with thermal?
thermal. Well, that particular setting is a red hot setting. So yeah, for the most part, the subject will be white, but the hots will turn red. So it would be red with that setting there. And then there is the white, there's the black and white hot that you could switch from. So you could either go hot black or white hot. And if you were to go white, I think you would just get a white outline of a Bigfoot, hopefully, if you were to get a good shot at it. And I do try to make it a thing to change the settings, but again, my nephew was using it that time, and I'm just happy he recorded that. I'll take that better than nothing, even if it's a person. We were happy to get some sort of action that night, and yeah, we're excited about it.
Cool. Very
And
cool.
maybe we're onto something and documenting some feral people out in these mountains. In these mountains.
They're scarier. I think those would be scarier than a Bigfoot.
Oh, they are. I'm telling you, we get them right here on Olympic Boulevard, and I don't know. I'm like, man, what tunnels are you guys coming out of?
Well, if anybody out there has any questions for Glenn, now's the time to ask. We're going to be wrapping this up. We're almost up for the hour here. We got about 10 more minutes. But if anybody
Hope everyone
anything,
enjoyed. Yeah, hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. Excuse me, Nikki.
yeah, go ahead, everybody. Anybody with any last questions? We're going to put the timer up, and we're going to Let's see. What do we have? Question. Do you think the U.S. government is covering it up before its existence, or no? Look, I personally do believe they are. So
Yeah, I
you
think
think it's a government cover up?
yeah, I think they know. I think they know, and yeah, it depends what state you're in. You know, it seems like Washington, Oregon, like they seem a little more open about it. You know, I hear Ohio are really like the DNR out there are really like promoting it and stuff, and so there is like this yeah, they're hiding it, but at the same time, there certain places are like kind of putting it out there. And yeah, you know, you have laws up in Washington and stuff like that. And I don't know, I feel like yeah, they're slowly on certain levels, slowly kind of putting it out there. And on certain levels, they are also covering up. So yeah, it kind of goes both ways there.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be. I don't know if they are, if they're not. I don't know. I think they have bigger things to worry about than
Oh yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So
There's all types. Yeah, they got to worry about Dog Man and everything else, right?
no, there's no dog man. I'm definitely not a dog man person. Um, this was the same. The hunter that doesn't make sense. Wouldn't it prove they exist? Take away the body. It could be they come and take the body. Hey, Rick Dyer says that every time he caught a Bigfoot, the men in black came and took it away. So
Damn. Was it
yeah.
Will Smith and or who was it?
Uh, oh my gosh, what is his name?
I
And that
forget.
answer would be wait, what is that answer? 42 is the 42 is the meaning of life. There's your answer. There, grass 42. Cowboy. Therms are like action cams. Everything looks further away and smaller than it is.
Mm.
Yeah. Then we have, I personally do believe Bigfoot should be captured and taken to wildlife sanctuaries. Well, they'll
Oof.
be safe from poachers, hunters, and they can be studied like normal animals. Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know about that.
can't even find them now.
Yeah, I
So
think they're good on their own. And then yeah, again, you'll get this crowd of people like, oh, we need to protect them. And yeah, no, when people get involved, stuff happens, like not good stuff. And so I think they're all right on their own. And yeah, hopefully they don't get caught up. I enjoy looking for them, but yeah, I don't want to also burn it like, yeah, they're right here. Come
hey,
get
I
them.
heard is getting ready to possibly make Bigfoot the state cryptid.
Who? Who?
California is
Oh,
California
really? Well, it's about time.
trying to
Yes.
make Bigfoot a cryptid.
Yeah, it's about time. I mean, Smokey the Bear's been smoked out a while ago. It's like, come on now, let's step it up. Smokey's smoked out.
Yeah, it's
It's time for
the California Assembly bill right now, and looking to
right
pass.
on.
Like as
And you know,
California.
Oregon really embraces it. Like, I remember
Oh yeah,
when my brother came to visit, he flew into Medford and we went to go pick him up at the airport. And leaving the airport, there's a big old sign with the Sasquatch, hiking with hikers. And it's like, yeah, don't prevent forest fires. And so the fire department I believe it's throughout the whole state have embraced the Bigfoot as their mascot now. And so around Oregon, you'll see all these fire, prevent fire, and it's the Sasquatch and everything. And I actually got to speak when I was, because I do live in Southern Oregon as well.
yeah.
I got to speak to the marshal, the fire marshal. He's wearing a Squatch shirt, seen him coming out of Trader Joe's, and had to go talk to him. I had no idea he was the marshal, but we started talking Bigfoot and And yeah, I happen to be the marshal, and we're using this now. He's like, hit me up sometime, and I got a bunch of stuff for you. It's some, I think, stickers and shirts and other stuff. But yeah, I want to go pick his brain a little more to see if the fire department up there has had any activity. But yeah, gotta get back to Oregon.
Sounds fun. I just want to be able to make it up to Bluff Creek this year.
Okay.
I we'll just have to see. It's too early for me to tell if I can make it happen because I want to drive. I want all my gear. I want my stuff with me.
Go for it. Do it. You could make it happen. And also for me, we try to make this happen every year. At the moment, it's like, I don't know. I'm thinking, damn, new tires. I need to save some money, this, and that. But once it comes to that point, it's all go, and we make it happen. So make sure you do that.
Canada, it was like at some point I had to make the decision, do it or not do it, or shut up about it,
Mm-hmm. And that's how it happens.
Okay, I guess I'm going, so I better prepare now.
Let's go. It's gonna be fun and exciting.
Yeah, it will. It'll be another life changer type of thing, and I need to do it while I still can.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing, I've been going live more and stuff like that, and it's just like, do it while you can, folks. Go out there, do your thing. You got to say something, say it, because you never know about tomorrow or later. Might be too late. So now is the time. The time is now.
Everybody else here, thank you for coming and then checking out our little discussion over here with Glenn Rojas, Bigfoot Dwarf. I always want to say Brown Dwarf. You'll always be Brown Dwarf. Anyway,
yeah, no problem. I'm still Brown Dwarf.
Yeah. Scott Walker, check out my channel. Please subscribe. In the video section go to my playlist. You'll find my Sunday shows listed there. Scroll on down and you will find an entire show about the massacre at Bluff Creek and my feelings about it. I had John L. Johnson on there and Thomas Steenberg, and we went all the way through that mess. So please check that out. And before you all leave, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Share it around to all of your channels and help a girl out. And we will see you guys in the next chat. Thank you so much. Good night.